righty, welcome in and welcome back, everybody, to Sports Prophet TV. This is College Football Capital, our regular Monday broadcast with myself, Sports Prophet, and my co-host, as always, Clee Picks. We're talking Week 6 college football. Didn't have a show last week, so not really a typical recap as far as a show recap since we didn't have a show. Personally, I went 4-2, so kind of kept the card a little smaller. Picked my spots. Was happy with it. Really, the only read that I wasn't happy with would be Florida State. I ended up buying up some Florida State at a +6.5, and it's one of those. It really is crazy because I truly believe Florida State has a better roster than SMU. But you cannot quantify the DJ Ugalele effect. Like when you're actively giving the other team 14, 17, 20 points against the spread on a game in and game out basis, it becomes one of those things. It becomes, we almost saw it again tonight with Will Levis with the Titans. It's one of those Zach Wilson Jets situations where it's like, hey, this is a jet spot, but can't do it. Like if he's on the field, I can't do it. So that's pretty much where I'm at now with DJ and the Florida State Seminoles.
Did you see that they're doing the new depth chart this week?
I saw that.
They're saying injury, and I'm like,
right, got to let him down soft for some reason.
That mysterious groin injury just happened to pop up this week,
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the groins there, and there's we could get into that. I don't know what Mike Norvell and DJ got some kind of a bromance going on or something, because I don't get it. But anyway, so that was the only loss that I was kind of not in love with the read in hindsight, even though, if you just don't turn the ball over, I think that game ends up being a grind. And although Florida State at times in that game looked like they just didn't really give a shit. So, there's that element too. After I thought that they were kind of back with their performance against Cal, they played hard. And Cal's not a bad ball club either. How did your week go?
I had an even week. We started off hot. Saturday was interesting. Would have had a winning week if I'm not sure if you saw how the South Florida Tulane game ended.
I did.
With the knees. Yeah, that was the total right there. Tulane taking knees after trying to quarterback sneak on 1st and goal. And didn't even run out the clock either. That was what killed me. But some results go your way, some don't. I was on Georgia money line, hell of a game. That stuff happens, but then we had some wins too. We were on Ohio State team total again. That hit. UCF and Colorado over, that hit. The only bad read I really had, and it really wasn't really my doing, we were on the Louisville Notre Dame under, and you can't really predict at least three turnovers inside the opponent's 20, the opposite 20. You're going out your own 20-yard line. Not much you can do there. So, and it almost got there. It was sitting at 40 points there for about a quarter and a half, and then they finally scored there in the 4th to take it over. But you'll have that. You'll have weeks again. We were just even. It wasn't a losing week. It wasn't a winning week. But we'll hope the wins come more this week. And another one, real quick. I had Oregon team total going in it was at 38.5. They're going in at 28. At the end of the first half, throw a pick 6, and they just kind of relaxed and didn't really care in the second half, and it fell on 35. So it happens. It's college football. We move on this week.
Absolutely. It's been good on the show as far as College Football Capital is concerned. It's been solid. So let me get this ticker going here. Let's just get right into it. Like I said before the show, I've got a kind of not necessarily make this a quick one, but I've got to get it done under a certain amount of time. So we will jump right into it. Let's see if I can get the screen up here. As usual, we're using Odds Trader, so we can start. We've got a couple of Thursday games.
You Odds Trader, give us a sponsorship.
Hey, I wouldn't complain. Maybe one day. But so right off the bat, I'll just kind of share some insight as far as the process. I have already sent out a handful of plays early in the week. I kind of go rapid, early in the week. It's rapid fire. It's like you gotta pick your spots and go. And those are the ones that I'm kind of most sure about. I've changed that process a little bit because, there was a point in time where CLV really was, king. Like it really, really was. There's so many different groups and services giving out, plays in different directions nowadays with big clientele and big market movers that I don't think CLV is really the end all be all now, is maybe how it has been some seasons, but, so I've sent out a couple of them, one of which is one game on here, in front of us for Thursday. And I'll go ahead and give it out for our first official show pick. Let me get this up here. So, looking at Sam Houston State and UTEP, I am rolling with the Miners at home at the plus 10.5. There's a nice minus 109 available. I think there's some other decent prices available. This was like plus 12 at one point, but anything 10.5 or better, I like enough for an official play. And I've already, like I said, I already sent that one out last night. I don't think UTEP is a horrible football team. They've got a new coach, Scotty Walden, who came in from Austin Peay. And I don't think they're a great football team, but I don't think they're horrible. They fought hard against Liberty. They missed covering by a hook if you had 9.5 on the road at Colorado State. And they're playing hard. This is a team that's playing hard, and they're getting 10.5 at home against a much improved Sam Houston State team. Like this, obviously Sam Houston State has improved drastically. They are a defensive team. They brought in a junior college quarterback who has played okay this year, but he's really game managed. It's really been run game this year for Sam Houston State. So it's not like this kid Hunter Watson, the Sam Houston State quarterback. He's not putting up crazy numbers. He's got 5 touchdowns and 3 interceptions through 5 games. They're just not really a passing team. I think UTEP will come to fight. I think they can load up and slow down the run. And 10.5 at home, playing in the elevation in El Paso. I mean, the Sun Bowl is don't sleep on the Sun Bowl. It's not necessarily an easy place to play. I mean, I've seen UTEP take Texas and Oklahoma down to the wire, over the last 15, 20 years in the Sun Bowl. So they will fight there. And yes, Sam Houston has gotten better, but 4-1 team visiting an 0-4 team. This is not 0-4 Kennesaw State. This is 0-4 UTEP. They're not a horrible team. They will fight. I think they can keep it within the number. So UTEP plus 10.5 is going to be my first official for the show.
I like it. Yeah, I mean, they should have beaten Liberty, if I'm not mistaken. They led them in the fourth quarter of that game, if memory serves me right. But yeah, no, I like the read. I will back you on this one. Not huge on either team, so I trust your judgment on these Texas schools that you're around there.
Yeah. Texas is a big state.
It's a rivalry.
Nah, because UTEP has been, used to be the WAC, and now they're the Conference USA. And speaking of that, I think the Mountain West invited UTEP to their conference.
I saw that today,
which is interesting. I mean, whatever you want to make of it, but Sam Houston State, obviously, they've been an FCS powerhouse for years. So these two, they actually haven't played a whole lot, but
they're also trying to break up Maction too. I'm not sure you saw that report last week.
Yeah. What is Maction? What are we getting next Tuesday? Is that when it starts?
It should be soon. Should be very soon.
I love it. I mean,
Conference play just started last week, really. So,
I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. I mean, you literally have a football game on TV every night of the week. So
I gave this note out in another show. Speaking of action, those that like to bet the MAC, Penn State's on their third string quarterback now. Their first string quarterback dislocated his hip. A second string quarterback in the same game tore his Achilles. So they're on their third string quarterback. They did put up 30 last week against Eastern Michigan, but lost, I think, like 50-30 or something like that. But something to keep in mind going forward this year. They're down to their third string who ended the year for them a year ago. So does have a little playing time, but he wasn't good at all. And yeah, so keep that in mind there, bud.
So speaking of backup quarterbacks, how about UNLV?
Yeah, actually, that's going to be that's been my first official play for the show.
Okay, well let's get to it then.
I like the over here.
So do I.
I really love what I saw from Hodge Malik Williams a week ago. I was on UNLV money line, so that was one of the wins. I talked myself into it. I was going to wait and see what happened, but the more I thought about it, about the fact that people are offering up, Derek Stevens from Circa is going to offer the $100,000 to keep the old quarterback there, and they're just like, nah, we're good. There was some confidence about it, and what they do, they put up a 50-burger, on Fresno State last week. But I think we get points here. Both teams are in the top 41 in points per game. Syracuse is 41st. UNLV is second. I talked about Hodge Malik Williams, 4 touchdowns last week, 3 in the air, 1 rushing. Syracuse, third in the nation in passing per game. So I think we're going to get a lot of yards, a lot of tempo in this game. And I think we get a lot of points too. So I had it at 58.5. I'm not sure what the number is right now.
Yep.
I would take it up. I would take it up to about 60.5 if you're watching the show later in the week. I wouldn't go past 60.5, but for the official show play, it's 58.5. UNLV and Syracuse with the over here. I think we get a lot of points on Friday night.
I'm with you. I'm with you on this one. I do think UNLV's defense has improved, particularly pass rush and secondary has gotten better. I still don't think they are, average Power 5 defense. I still think that they're lower end Power 5 caliber defense. I think the offense is fantastic, but the defense, I don't think the defense is. They're good. They've gotten better, but they're not there yet. I think Syracuse will score, and man, the UNLV offense is on fire. That's one of the most fun teams to watch. I was on them last week against Fresno, and that was fun for about a quarter, right? So, I'm with you on this one. You got a 58.5 there at looks like it's at Bet Rivers. So that's the line we'll take. So we've already given out 2. We've already given out UTEP plus 10.5, which is going to be a fun Thursday game in the Sun Bowl in El Paso. And then we've got one back in Vegas, taking the over 58.5. So speaking of this game, let me switch my screen here back to the spreads. Speaking of this game, I don't know if you could find a bigger UNLV backer over the last 2 or 3 seasons than me, because I've ridden this team to the bank for 2 going on 3 seasons now. But I will say the cat's clearly out of the bag. Like I don't think you're necessarily getting any value. And I'm not saying UNLV can't cover, but like 6 or more, I'm probably looking at Syracuse to keep it within the number, just because I think it'll be a shootout. And I love UNLV. Like they're like my favorite team. Other than my actual favorite team was Baylor, and UNLV is a lot more fun to watch right now than Baylor. But all right, well let's keep it scooting. Got a lot of
also. I mean, it's a lean for me, but I do like Pitt on Saturday at noon.
Okay.
It's not an official play, but it's a lean. Mine's a 2.5. Look, North Carolina's got a lot of problems offensively. Their offense was really non-existent in that second half against Duke. They're on their 3rd quarterback now in the year. They had some things going in the first half, but I guess as I said, it just wasn't existing in the second. Pitt is coming off a week off. Their offenses look pretty impressive so far this season as well. They had that comeback victory at Cincinnati, and then put a 70 burger on Youngstown State, my poor Penguins. It's a lean for me. It's not an official play, but Pitt minus a 2.5 more than likely will be on my card on Saturday. I think you're muted, buddy.
Sorry, I had a helicopter flying over my house. Hopefully not looking for me, but I kind of wish UNC would have laid down last week against Duke, but I guess with it being a rivalry, it probably wasn't going to happen. I could see them kind of going back to what we saw against James Madison in this one, to be honest. So I'm with you there. SMU Louisville. I will say this. I do have a bet on this game. It might be a big bet. I've already got some exposure there. Potentially going to be adding a good sum more to it. But that's not official yet. I like Louisville to clap cheeks in this game. I mean, obviously I faded SMU last week and that didn't work out for me, but that's actually back-to-back weeks that I faded SMU and it hasn't worked out. I had TCU and there was that was one of the crazier box scores of the season, kind of a misleading final. And then last week, obviously the DJ ukulele show, but no, I was on Notre Dame against Louisville last week just to win.
Yeah.
And Notre Dame had a lot of things go their way and Louisville actually looked good. They arguably looked like the more complete team. Obviously the Notre Dame defensive front is fantastic. That's probably, it probably got an edge there, but Coach Brom, I mean, he's finally got athletes, like real athletes that he never really had at Purdue. I'm not saying he never had any good players there, but he's got better players. And I'm not a believer in Jennings, the quarterback at SMU that's playing right now. I think Louisville is going to be in his face all day defensively. And I think it's a really good get-right spot for Louisville. So I'll just say I'm going to have a bet on that one.
I agree with you there, buddy. I came away very impressed, actually, with Louisville a week ago. I thought they, for the most part, outplayed Notre Dame in that one. And they seem to play a lot better. It's a cliche that you play better at home, but they seem to play a lot better at home.
They do.
If this game was in Dallas, maybe, but no, not at what we used to be called the Papa John's Arena Stadium or where the heck it is now. I don't even know what it is now.
Right.
But yeah.
So another one I'll just throw out here, just for anybody looking for a good money line piece. I think Navy money line. Obviously it's probably near minus 500, but if you're looking for a kind of an anchor to take something in the minus 180, minus 200 range down to a playable level, something to pair with, I think Navy takes care of business against Air Force. So I think this Air Force team is abysmal.
Sure.
I mean, they got steamed all week. Speaking of CLV, they got steamed all week against Wyoming. And Wyoming won fair and square. They outgained them.
In Laramie,
and Wyoming was +4.
Yeah.
Before kickoff, and they won by 10. So this is the worst Air Force team I've seen in 10 years. I think Navy takes care of business, so that's a great anchor for a parlay piece. Anything else on the screen that you like, or can I keep scrolling?
No, keep scrolling, buddy. I got nothing left in this one.
Ooh, there's a big one: Missouri and Texas A&M. Is that our only top 25 matchup of
yeah,
the
it
week?
is. It is.
Well, I want to know what you like on this one because I'm definitely leaning a certain way.
Look, if it was last week this game was being played, I would have said A&M. But the fact that Missouri got a week off to kind of regroup, I think they're the more talented team, and I think that plays out here. I think they have the better quarterback.
Yep.
I think they have the better athletes on the field. I almost put this on the card for today. Also, I'll be honest with you, getting the 2.5. But I pulled back just a little bit because I want to see which way the line goes in this one. But yeah, I have Missouri, win total over for the year, and I had this as a kind of a question mark for the season. Yeah, I'll put it that way. It was one that I didn't put in the win column because I just didn't know what A&M would be like. Good defensively, they've been better with the new quarterback, but I still have my doubts about A&M offensively, and I just think Missouri's got the better offense here. They can make enough plays defensively, and I think they come out with a victory. It's going to be close. I actually kind of like the under, too, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But Missouri's had some close games this year. Let's be very honest with that. And, the Boston College game wasn't a breeze, and obviously the Vanderbilt game could have gone either way, and I think, they got that out of their system. They got a week to regroup. A&M's coming off a huge rivalry game at Jerry World with Arkansas. So, it's a tough back-to-back spot with Missouri, and I think Missouri wins this one.
Well, let's make it an official pick because I'm right there with you. I think Missouri is the side here. I'm convinced that Coach Elko is not going to have this team. We wanted to say, we were saying obviously they're 4-1, right? And they're not a bad football team, but I don't think this is easy as going into Duke and changing the culture. So I think it takes him a full season because we wanted to see how long is this going to take for him to go into College Station, with all these 4s and 5 stars that are recruited by another staff and really change the culture. And he also doesn't have as good a quarterback as he had at Duke. So he's a defensive guy. I'm with you on the under. But yeah, Missouri has the best player on the field, and Luther Burden. Their receiver, he's a monster. And plus 2.5 for me. I've got this line flipped. I've got this like a -2 Missouri. So -2, 2.5. So let's go official here on Missouri for our third show pick at a plus 2.5. Looks like a plus 2.5 -115 on Bet MGM. Mizzou. And I mean, look, I get it. Like it's tough. It's tough playing at Kyle Field. But when I look at this game, we have a very similar matchup in a lot of ways that already played out at Kyle Field with Notre Dame and Texas A&M. You could make an argument that the Notre Dame defense is a little better than Missouri, and I probably wouldn't argue with you too much, although Missouri's run defense has been solid. And that's, Texas A&M, they want to run the ball, but Missouri's offense is better than Notre Dame's, like no doubt about it. Like they are a better offense than Notre Dame. So getting points here, I'm cool with going Mizzou. I also think we haven't really seen Missouri. They haven't gotten up for a game this year. Like if anything, they've played their like C game so far this year. Murray State, Buffalo. They played a really scrappy and tough Boston College team at home that they probably overlooked a little bit. And then, of course, they overlooked Vanderbilt because it's Vanderbilt. So we haven't seen Missouri's like A game or really anything even close to it this year. I think I think Drinkowitz has them ready. You got multiple years of establishing a program going up against year one. I love Elko, but it's year one. I heard Wegman might play, which I think is even better for us.
He's not the better quarterback.
No, he's not. But he
I was just saying, sorry I didn't come off. I wasn't trying to argue with you. I'm just saying it's nothing great.
Yeah. So like now we don't have to worry about like a real dual threat if Wegman plays, and so I'm in. For me to send this out officially, I need a +3, even if it's juiced. I need like a -118, -115, +3, and I'll send it out officially to the clients. But +2.5 for the show, done deal, show pick. Let's keep it moving.
Let's do it.
Let's go. So let's see here.
Stop.
Okay, what we got?
Auburn, Georgia.
Okay. I think I know where you're going.
I'm going with the under.
Okay, that wasn't where I was going.
Under 53.5. Look, I think this is a weird spot for Georgia. Huge emotional game last week. You see this with college kids. You come off one of those big emotional games. You're sloppy offensively. So I don't think we'll have the high offensive production from Georgia. At the same time, though, Auburn's offense is terrible. I mean, and I don't care who's playing quarterback, if it's the freshman or if it's Peyton Thorne.
Yeah.
I think Georgia can give a lot of problems here. I think this is like 31-7, falls, in that range. I'm not sure. The thing is, I'm not sure where Auburn gets the offense from. They turn over the ball too much. They have no passing game. We saw that how many times this year? Versus Cal, last week against Oklahoma, so on and so forth. I think Georgia's defense can suffocate them here. Again, just emotional letdown spot here as well for Georgia. I think there's some sloppiness offensively. I say sloppiness offensively, I still think they'll get in the mid-30s in this one. But I just don't know where Auburn gets the offense. So give me Georgia, Auburn under 53.5. I don't usually play unders, but I've been selecting them here and there this year, and Georgia's been pretty reliable on them for me so far this season.
Yeah, no, I don't hate it. I'm going to look at it a little bit closer myself, just because I think it's an interesting angle. Hard to know whether Georgia comes out with their absolute hair on fire or if, like you said, it is a little bit of a letdown. Definitely hard to necessarily, get up for Auburn at home.
2-3 Auburn team. It's
right. Yeah, and I don't think Georgia. I mean, I'm trying to make sense of the Alabama-Georgia game. I don't think Alabama's defense is that good.
Bingo.
I don't. And I still think Georgia has legitimate issues at receiver. Like, that's where I'm kind of at. And I've heard people say, no, well, Georgia, they look like the number one team in the country in the second half. Here's my hot take. I don't think Alabama or Georgia are going to win the SEC. I don't think either of those two teams are yeah, I'm liking the Horns too. I'm also liking Tennessee, but I don't think Alabama or Georgia win the SEC this year. I think they both have some flaws, and I think people just are so used to those being the top two teams, and Alabama won, so Alabama's the best. But that's not what necessarily the way I see it. All right, keeping it moving. Here we go.
Which way do you think I was going to go on that one, by the way?
Well, I thought you were gonna go with Georgia.
No. I mean that it would be the angle I would take too, but no. We're gonna stay in at 3:30 for me. Ole Miss, South Carolina, another official play. I got a lot in the 3:30 slate this week. I'm sorry. I like the over here.
Okay.
Minus their week 1 performance against Old Dominion. South Carolina is averaging 38 points per game. Look, I don't think Ole Miss is going to show up that bad offensively again this week. They just had a bad week, and unfortunately, it was the worst week they had that bad week, and it may have cost them maybe a top 4 seed or something of that nature, or maybe a home game because they still have to play Georgia this year. Right. Even with that stinker of a performance, they're still averaging 47.4 points per game, which is still top 10 in the country. South Carolina's really only played one offense this year, and that was LSU, and LSU put up 36 against them. So I think we get some points here, 53.5. I think that's a little bit too low for this type of matchup. But I think both teams could get in the 30s. I'm not really that impressed with Ole Miss defense still. And I think South Carolina will be able to move the ball effectively on the ground. as well. So you give me over 53.5 in this one with Ole Miss and South Carolina.
Cool.
I expect a much better offensive performance out of the Rebs this week for sure.
I would too. All right, Appalachian State Marshall. That's interesting because obviously this game is somewhat being affected by the hurricane, and I know a lot of the money. This was a pick'em, so I know a lot of the money is coming on Marshall because App State's campus is underwater.
I'll say, are they even able to practice?
I mean,
I'm not trying to joke about it. I've seen the booms flooded. I mean,
you got to think that there's somewhere, either probably out, at a local high school or somewhere, camped up for the week. So but they're definitely out of their routine. Like there's no. With that being said, if this gets to like 4, I'll probably take some App State plus the 4. I like the motivation factor. I don't love App State this year, but I don't love Marshall either. And a game that probably should be, I would probably make App State like 1-point road favorite. So if it gets to plus 4, and they're actually practicing somewhere, and I can confirm and verify that, yeah, I'll take some App State.
One to keep an eye on for Saturday, if you like live betting. Second halves for Akron games this year have been terrible for the Zips. They've been able to keep games close at the half, but they've been terrible in the second half. I think it's a depth issue. Happened last week. It was 16-10 in the fourth quarter. They lost the game 30-10. Just they're on the field. The defense is on the field too much. The offense is non-existent right now. Just something to keep an eye on if you like live betting second halves and stuff like that, lines. I would say if the game's close with Bowling Green and Akron, which it could be, at halftime, I would take the Falcons on the spread in the second half in that one. Just a gambling note.
I got a question for you about the this is your neck of the woods, yep. Miami, Ohio, and Toledo.
I think it's too many points.
Yeah. What is this line?
I think there's a lot of people betting up the Rockets because of what they did against Mississippi State, which, hey, good win. But Miami's 3 losses are against 3 good teams. Cincinnati's not a slouch this year. Notre Dame, we know, is Notre Dame, and they played them tight through 3.5 quarters. And I can't remember the third loss. And then
Northwestern and Cincy, yeah.
Yeah, they should have probably beat Northwestern, truthfully.
Yep.
So, I mean, Toledo's better than I think what people expected, especially with what they've lost. But this is a game that, Miami beat them in the MAC championship a year ago pretty handily. And I think the Red Hawks are very good defensively. I think they're going to give Toledo's offense some trouble here. 6.5 is, I think it's and points in this situation.
And that was without their quarterback in that MAC championship game. They basically ran the Wildcat the whole game. So with a running quarterback, and now this Toledo team is not anywhere near as talented as they were a year ago. Yeah. This has gotta be the revenge factor being played into this line by the odds makers. They've got to be looking at it and they're going, we're just going to build in the revenge factor instead of making this 3.5 or 4. It's 6 or 6.5 because they feel like it's a Toledo spot because of what we just said about the MAC championship game. But still, it's not like Toledo returned everybody in their reload. I like Miami, Ohio. I honestly, I was looking at the Miami, Ohio team total, which is at 19.5 at -105. I think this Miami, Ohio offense is actually decent. They've just played Northwestern, Cincinnati, and Notre Dame. Like that's kind of like tamping down their offensive numbers. I'm not super impressed with Coach Karras and the Toledo defense necessarily. Really almost any year. I mean, they were loaded last year, like they had draft picks, and so obviously that if you got draft picks on your defense in the MAC, you're going to be good. But I wasn't overly impressed, so I'm with you on that one. I definitely lean Miami.
You lose your best offensive player, you lose your best defensive player. I'm going the first round in the draft.
Right.
I just don't see where 6.5 is a spread here. I mean, truthfully.
All right, let's find. Do you have any more or?
I have one more in the 3:30 slate. It's you don't have, you can click on it. It's Ohio State team total again. I've been going with this every week, profit, and it's hit every week for me. And it's at 31.5 this week.
Ooh.
Look, if I understand Iowa's defense is Iowa's defense, but this Ohio State offense is really good, and maybe I would say top 3 in the country good. They haven't still played a fourth quarter yet this year. And they've gone, as I said, over. Last week was at 35.5. They were at 38 in the middle of the third quarter. This week, 31.5. I think they get up to 35 again. Last time these two teams played in Columbus, and granted it was C.J. Stroud, and we don't know what he's turned into, but they put up a big number on Iowa. I think they do it again here. 31.5 is just too low. Biggest improvement. A, the offensive line looks a lot better, but B, red zone efficiency. They went from 45th in the country a year ago to number 2 in the country right now. A lot of that based upon what Chip Kelly has brought in that offense, and really like what they're doing there. So the amount of weapons they have, we saw what Jeremiah Smith can do again this past week. Team total over 31.5 is my last official play for the show.
Cool. Right on. Like I said, usually I would kind of chit chat a little bit longer. Let me give one more official on my end. So we've given out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we'll make it 7. I'm going to go trying to see if the number's still there on this one.
We got a shootout in Detroit right now.
What's the score?
35-27, start of the fourth quarter.
Detroit's still winning, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I've got
my overhead in the middle of third. So
I teased Detroit through 0 to 4, which I know is a big no-no, but
don't worry, the gambling.
Yeah, winner, chicken dinner. That's all I care about.
At the end of the day, as long as you can go get your bet slip cash, that's all I really care about.
Damn, Skippy. Okay. All right.
While you're scrolling there, or you found it?
Well, go ahead.
James Madison team total is one I was looking at this week. You know the number 1 team in the country in terms of scoring the last 2 weeks against FBS schools is?
Got to be them.
James Madison, 70 last 2 weeks ago, and then 60 Burger last week. I said Burger a lot today. 60 last week as well. So it's around 30.
All right.
That's one to look at. Sorry, I lost my train of thought.
This one's moved, but I'm still going to give it out, and we'll see if I can hit an over this season. I still have not hit an over. I've not cashed a ticket on an over this season. I haven't given out a ton of them, obviously, but going to give one out here, and maybe it'll be my first over winner of the 2024 season. That would be great. I'll light up a cigar and celebrate if we do. Texas Tech and Arizona over 64. Yes, it's a high number. Yes, it has moved. And this was kind of my stop point on this one was 64. So I'm going to play it. I just, Texas Tech's got one of the worst defenses in Power 5. I think Arizona's athletes, big receivers, I think they'll have plenty of time to get the ball off. I think they'll move the ball in chunks. And I think Texas Tech will probably do the same. Arizona's defense looked somewhat decent last week. They're really not. It was a perfect matchup schematically. They just loaded up the box and stopped the run, and they came to play. Good for them. But I think this one goes over. The tempo will be there. So that's we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 official picks for you guys. I got to run. Got to get the kids to bed. Take care of some other things. So where are we at here? Clee, always enjoyed doing it with you, buddy. We will talk. I'm sure we'll talk this week, but if not, we'll see you next week. And make sure you guys are liking and subscribing. Tomorrow night is the very important NFL show with Sosa, and Wednesday is another episode of the MLS Live podcast as we come down the home stretch. MLS playoffs will be here within a couple of weeks, so Make sure you're locked in there, and we'll see you next week.